Inside of here is my first PSA submission. A lot of these cards that I'm about to show you have been eyeballed, mostly because I feel confident from observing them on my own that they should be close to 10s, if not 10. So there are some cards in here that are not being graded, and I will show you which ones that they are. The reason that they aren't being graded is because when I looked up what the profit would be, it would not be worth, at this current time, it would not be worth selling the graded card if it came back as a 10. So that could be another submission some other day, but for now, these cards to my right are the ones we're not worrying about. And we're almost there, and that's where our pile begins. So we have Greninja and Zoroark from Tag Team in Japanese. We then have Deoxys and Espeon, which was one of my first secrets, actually, that I ever pulled. And that was quite cool. We've got Umbreon from EV Heroes. We then have a Steelix, which this kind of just blows my mind how much the card goes for in English compared to Japanese. So this is like a $50 card raw. And in Japanese, it's like, I swear I got it for like under $10. At one stage. I don't know what it is now in Japanese, but yeah, it's amazing. The Pokemon market makes no sense. Anywho, let's keep going. We've got a Mew from Crown Zenith. I have a few copies of that. We have a Origin Form Palkia, which was actually my second copy. I sold one on eBay. We then have one of my favorite cards out of Brilliant Stars, and I have a spare copy of this that I would never sell. Actually wasn't a big fan of Mimikyu until Brilliant Stars, and I saw this card and the VMAX card as well, and I'm like, okay, I kind of appreciate Mimikyu now. And Acerola, the trainer. Cool. So we have Jolteon V, which everyone loves these promos. I was lucky enough to get an extra Jolteon promo. I believe in my Flareon box, I actually pulled the Rayquaza VMAX from Evolving Skies. So I got really lucky on that box. We've also got the VMAX to go with it. And then we have an Arceus V-Star from Brilliant Stars, I believe, pretty sure. Then we have one Pikachu from Crown Zenith. As you might have seen, I had a few more copies. There's really not much money to be made out of this in a PSA 10 at this current time compared to the other Pikachu that you can get in the set. So I'm not too worried about it, but I do want to just grade one just for fun. So we'll see how that goes. We then have a Mew from Celebrations, Glaceon VMAX Rainbow, Sylveon VMAX Rainbow, Latias EX. Now, Surging Sparks was the first booster box I opened in a very long time. And it did remind me of Vivid Voltage a little bit. I guess it's because it's like Surging Sparks, same name. But the point is, I hadn't opened up a booster box in a long time. I had a lot of fun with it, and this was the card that I pulled from that box. And I noticed that there was a red dot error. I don't know if you can see that, just on its neck right here. So it's a bit of a printing error. There is one other copy of this on eBay at the moment, and it's listed for about $3,000. Now, mind you, in my spreadsheet, it's counted in the spreadsheet, but it's not tallied with in the total. So I've left that out completely, and I didn't want to include that because I have no idea if that'll even sell or what it'll sell for. It's going to be very specific to a very specific collector, someone that enjoys the printing errors. So I have no idea who that's for, or if it'll be for anyone at all. But if I get it graded and it doesn't sell, then I'll just keep it. I'm not too fussed. Anywho, moving on. So I also collect Japanese illustrator cards. They're my favorite type of, that's my niche. That's what I like to collect. So I wasn't too worried about putting this up for a grading. So we got a Squirtle and we got a Charmander. And then we have a Birthday Pikachu from Celebrations. We then have a Venusaur and a Blastoise. Now those three are roughly going for about $100 in a PSA 10. So we'll see what happens there. And then we have two copies of this Scizor. Now, I have this in Japanese. It is one of my favorite cards in the Scarlet and Violet era. I love Scizor. And yeah, it's gone kind of wild in the PSA 10, so I thought, why not grade two of them? One of them might come back as a 9, but I'm not too worried about that. Then we have a Charizard from Lost Origin with Leon. And our final card is a bit of a different one. Probably not what you were expecting me to end on, but we are ending on this anyway. This is the Galarian Slowpoke from Evolving Skies. Now, it's just a Black Star promo, but it's a so-so card. I really like so-so. I think this card's going to do well. I think it's already doing okay in a PSA 10, so if it comes back as a 10, it'll be really interesting, but we'll see what happens. So let's see how we go when we get the cards back and what grade we get.
Hello everyone, future Wicked Cards here. I kind of spoiled the grades for myself before I even got them. I don't know how people avoid looking, it's very hard to not look, so I ruined it for myself. But for you guys, we'll run through these in the background. I'm just going to talk about Pokemon really while we look at the grades that I got. So in the first half of the video that you just watched, I had this grand idea that I was going to start selling PSA graded cards on eBay. Give it a go. No time better than the present when the hype is, out of control. It still kind of is. And I recorded all these cards in a spreadsheet and how much money I was going to make out of it. And right now I'm like, I'm not even worried about that. I don't even know what I'm going to do with these cards. Some of them I've decided that I'm going to keep in my collection, and some of them I might even trade. I don't really know what I'm doing yet, but at the moment, the whole idea of trying to start selling PSA cards on eBay is kind of just not really my focus. But doing all this is really fun. First PSA grading session, but during this time of sending the cards out, we got hit with the tariffs in Australia, so the US blocked anyone outside of the US from being able to send cards, and my cards were still there. I was like, oh crap, what's going to happen now? But luckily there was no extra charges, and they just got sent back as normal to anyone that sent them before the tariffs got put into action. But with everything going on with Pokemon at the moment, it's kind of just I'm taking a little bit of a step back and just sort of watching from the sidelines, and if I feel like making a purchase, I will, but I'm not in a rush to, and not chasing any product. As the time of recording this yesterday, the Prismatic special premium collection of the Eevee came out, and it's kind of sad to see scalpers lining up at Kmart in the camper chairs at a 24-hour store, so I don't know, it's just not that appealing. But hopefully Pokemon gets to a more normal state in the future. And if you're going out there and spending $400 on a product that should be like $160, I recommend that you don't do it. That's, avoid it. Just wait. Everything's going to go back to normal, even if it means waiting until after the 30th anniversary, once that hype's out of the way, which is next year. I think Pokemon will just, it'll dwindle down at some stage. But right now it's just just watch. I think just watch. That's my best advice. All right, so what you're here for is the talk about PSA and the grading and how it all went. So you might have noticed as the video's been playing, I've been showing the most recent eBay sold price, and also I was really surprised. So I mentioned that I eyeballed pretty much everything. There was no other way to, I just looked at it, thought, yep, this is pretty good. I don't think it's an 8. I definitely think it's going to be within the 9 and 10 range. And for the most part, I got it right. And you may have noticed that most of these cards are probably under $500 on the market. And so in total, I'm going to tell you guys what I spent. I spent just over $1,000. Might have been about $1,085 AUD, which was $689.75 USD, which that's for 24 cards. And you might have seen before the Jolteon VMAX on its own in a 10 is about $500, which is crazy because that's like half the value of what I spent in one card, and I had 24 cards. So you can definitely see why people are doing this. There definitely is money to be made by doing this, and yeah, the market is just really crazy. It amazes me every day. But if you haven't got into PSA grading and you are able to do it, I think it's a fun experience to get the cards back, and then you can, either add them into your collection or trade them. The Hobby Hangout is a big TCG event that's coming up in Melbourne on June 1st, so not far away. And I'm thinking of taking some of these and seeing if I can trade them for something else, whether that's product or a different card. I'm not sure. I'm just going to take some with me and see what happens. Maybe even trade with people that are there at the event rather than the stalls. So who knows? We'll see what happens. I should also mention these aren't my Grail cards by any means. The two best cards in this PSA submission were probably the Jolteon VMAX and the Latias EX that you're about to see in a moment as I put the Squirtle down. We graded the Latias EX that I pulled from Surging Sparks. There was a red dot error on it too, and I've seen that the 10 is going for like $3,000 listed. No one's purchased it, but the 10 with the red dot error is, who knows? I guess it's got no price. But yeah, we got a 9. It's not exactly what I was hoping for, but I'm definitely going to keep this. This will be on my shelf, so that's really cool. I think the only thing stopping this from getting a 10 was the left-hand side. It's a little bit thinner than the right-hand side, so fair. At the very end, I'll show you the two piles side by side and tell you how many were in each, if you're not counting as you're going. And yeah, so I graded a few cards from Celebrations, the Birthday Pikachu in a 10. These don't go for much, but I think they're really cool. And, I love the vintage vibe that, we don't see these days, but it was really cool that the 25th did that. And then I graded a few from 151, which you will see me pointing at the very top of this graded card where it says Mew. I was like, I completely forgot that the whole set was labeled Mew instead of 151. We all could call it 151. It just kind of threw me off for some reason. But yeah, the Squirtle and the Charmander did not get 10s. We got 9s, unfortunately. But I have these cards in Japanese, so I wanted to see what the English would come back as. And it's better than 8, so no complaints from me. And if you don't know, I've been collecting since 2020. So it took me, about 5 years to do a submission to PSA. And then we get hit by the tariffs. So, you know what? If you ever wanted to do a PSA in the past, you probably should have. But from what I can tell, I'm pretty sure your local TCG shops that, were grading for you to PSA, I think they still do it. They're kind of like official dealers and they have partnerships with PSA. So I think they're still able to do it. It's just an individual can't necessarily send them out. Unless, there's probably ways around it. But at the moment, we're blocked out from doing it. It'll probably change in the future. So be patient. I'm sure you'll have another chance to do it. And I might even do so as well when we can. We're coming down to our final cards, and you can see that one pile is bigger than the other, and that's the 10 pile. We got a 9 with the Charizard, which I couldn't really tell. I don't think I could tell what was wrong with this one, but, got to accept it. It is what it is. Even now, the trainer gallery is still one of my favorite things about the last few years of collecting. Yeah, if you want to check out my Sword and Shield binder, there's another video that you can watch. I'll pop it up right here for you to check out. Detective Wicked Cards pointing at the corners of his cards. And now we arrive to one of my favorite Black Star promo cards. The awesome Galarian Slowpoke from So-So and the Evolving Skies single blister promo. That's where you can get it from. This card is, I think, really hard to grade. I saw originally when I wrote up my spreadsheet, checked out all the prices, it was sold for like $400 in a 10. Currently, I can't find that listing, and I also can't find any 10s that have sold. So the population's very low on it. It's more just one of the cards I wanted to do for fun to see if it would come back as a 10, and it did. And as you can tell, the Scizor, unfortunately, came back as a 9. Both of them did. So all in all, we had 24 cards, and only 9 of them came back as a 9, where the rest of them came back as 10s. So I think we did pretty well.